Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary, for being here. Let me echo, first of all the comments that have been made by the previous speakers about your innovativeness and your department's willingness to do what is needed to be responsive to our taxpayers, and congratulate you and encourage you just to continue.
Thank you, sir.
I'm allowed one question, but I'm going to ask it in subparts, and the chairman will probably be okay as long as my question is short and direct, and so is your answer. But I'm really trying to get my handle around some of the facts and figures we need to deal with. So the first question I have is, what is the approximate cost per mile to repair a road such as Interstate 95 or 76, the Schuylkill?
Wow, that depends on the scope of the repair. A full depth reconstruction might be as much as $15 million a mile.
Yeah, okay. And I'm sure you're aware of sections of both of those roads that need that kind of attention.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sections of our interstate as a whole is over 50 years old, so most of it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up.
Does your department keep any records, or do you know of the relative cost of maintaining all of our interstates in Pennsylvania on a yearly basis?
We do. We have what we call a State of the Interstate report, which evaluates what we should be spending on our interstate system. And, frankly, right now we spend about $500 million a year. We should be spending about 3 times that on the interstate, so 3 to 4 times that on the interstate system alone. The I-95 project itself is probably a $10 billion project.
Okay. So it's somewhere around what we're actually spending out of this budget, $500 million just on interstate.
$500 million out of the $2 billion of annual construction is probably on interstates, and we probably should be in the neighborhood of all $2 billion just on the interstates. Now, clearly we can't do that, but if we were just focusing on need, rebuilding the interstates would probably cost us about $2 billion a year.
And is our federal delegation involved in conversations with your department about how to mitigate or relieve that cost?
Well, the federal delegation is, and yet, you talk about here the dialogue the chairman's referring about getting everybody on the same page of what's the number, and Chairman Markozic's suggestion it should be higher. The federal delegation hasn't moved. We've had level federal funding for a long time. They give us about $1.5 billion a year. That's not even enough for the interstate system, frankly, to take care of it. So we've got a new bill that's going to be coming up in 2 years. Chairman Schuster is hopefully going to be leading the charge on that, and hopefully we'll see additional revenues out of the federal side. If they don't, at a minimum, we're certainly going to be pushing for lessening the restrictions on tolling, which is another tool in the toolbox we could use if the federal government would allow us to do so. Right now, and I've been pretty blunt about this in my remarks in the past, the federal government's not solving the problem, and they're also restricting our ability to solve it by limiting the toolbox. So we're going to be pushing hard, and it's not just me. Ashto and the other 49 secretaries are going to be saying the same thing. Either provide more money or open up the toolbox to allow us to do other methods of finance.
Okay, the final part of this that I'm really focused on, immediately after the governor's announcement of his plan with respect to the gas tax issue, I received unsolicited 5 direct comments from constituents who recognized me in the district, and all 5 of them to a T said, don't you dare do anything that's going to raise 1 cent at the pumps. One individual went so far as to say, when I said, well, I understand there's substantial safety concerns, went so far as to say, I don't care. Now, I really don't think that she meant I don't care. I think what she really meant was, do we really need to do it now, and are we really at some sort of dangerous level? Here's your opportunity to tell constituents.
Well, I would tell everybody out there that the reason we're talking about a $2 billion plan, and I want to say to the average user, we're talking about 5 years from now, the average user might spend $2 more a week on gasoline if this tax is fully passed on at the pump. Less than $2 a week. That's less than 1 gallon of gas. Is she spending that sitting in congestion right now? Is she wasting a gallon of fuel a week? If she is, how much more will it be because we leave that go unaddressed? How much more will she spend driving around posted and closed bridges? How much more will she spend because of wear and tear in her car, on the tires of her car, the shocks, all the things that happen because of poor road conditions? If we don't do it, the 40,000 miles of road are not going to get newer on their own. The 25,000 bridges are not going to get newer on their own. The bill will simply be bigger. The next time we come around, if we don't do it now, it won't be this type of a fuel tax. It will be double this. So the reason we're talking about such a substantial number now is, as Chairman Markozik said, it's been decades of underinvesting. And if we don't deal with it now, I don't know if she has children, but would she prefer that her children get charged 3 times as much in the future? This is something that we all collectively own, this system. If we don't invest in it, it will deteriorate. It will hurt our economy today. It will hurt our safety today. And we're simply passing on to the next generation a higher cost. Users today are being challenged by this amount of money because it wasn't addressed in the last 15 years. So to that person and everyone else who's listening, I would suggest to you that we're doing everything we can to reduce our costs. But there's a reality of inflation. Has your cell phone bill gone down? Has your cable TV bill gone down? Has your electric bill gone down in the last several years? Of course not. And this is your user fee bill for the transportation system. If we don't invest, the number's just going to get bigger.
Well, thank you for your comments and your passion and certainly your candor. The last thing I would ask your department to take a look at on behalf of counties like Bucks, that local gas tax share. I know the formula hasn't been changed since the driving habits of 1930, and 1931. We're 80 years down line, and I think we need to take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.